With that, he makes the first step. Of course, as we all know, that activity itself has a certain power. And that power of that activity, therefore, can produce an effect on Sarah. So there's the power of the activity, and that power of the activity, as you can see, right, then awakens something in Sarah. Now, she has to, of course, in some way intuit his intentions and see whether or not that thing that seems to be moving him is the kind of thing that she can approve of. So therefore, it awakens within her a concern to see whether or not she can understand and whether she agrees with or finds a kinship with that idea, for she has been affected. Now, wouldn't you agree, to the degree she's been affected, that means there must have been something in her that had a potential. That is to say, she indeed must have been open to such a move, or it could never have had an effect upon her. She could be indifferent to his move. Therefore, it presupposes that there must be a potential power that was awakened in her. Equally well, would you not agree that everything he's doing, all the activity and the power of the activity that he engages in, is in view of this idea? Now, this idea is a rather curious thing. We could call it an idea. We called it an idea, dream. You can call it an ideal, or we can call it more formally a plan, a schema, a pattern. Any one of these words will do. Now, she being affected by Manny, now she herself similarly can now react to that, cause now she now relates. That's his movement. Now in a similar way, she then has a certain power. Internal power keeps herself together. External power, she may now decide to in some way respond. And therefore everything we just said about Manny can equally be said about Sarah. That she has an internal power, keeps herself together. External power, she's willing to engage him. The activity that she engages in is going to be, to her degree, consistent with the image she has, which she hopes is like the idea that Manny has. And there's a certain power to her activity, and then she's willing to consider what may result, and therefore there's a certain potential power that is exhibited. Now, that's just kind of reviewing a bit what we did last time, and now I want to go back to this one word, potential. If under similar circumstances we can expect similar things, right? If under similar circumstances if that in general is an interesting principle, if under similar circumstances we can expect similar things, if we treat the soil in a similar way and we treat the soil and the farm in a similar way each year, and the result is productive amount of food stuff that comes from that particular area or farm, then we work under the idea that under similar circumstances we can expect similar things. And so we're guided by patterns. By the way, let's see if we can push this for a moment. Then would you say in general, if there was a planet somewhere, on a star system similar to our own, under which similar circumstances to ours were generated, isn't it not likely that we might then have a basis for expecting similar things to emerge? And therefore, in some distant planet somewhere, at some time in the past or present or future, there might be a place called Brooklyn, where people function in a similar way. And everyone knows Brooklyn is the only place that generates saints by a great number, right? Okay, what does that suggest? That suggests, does it not, that certain forms are in place that await a certain set of conditions, and when those conditions then are fortuitous for the development of that particular thing, so then it emerges. Now, all we're saying at this point then is that those forms that are in place await the propitious occasion, which is similar circumstances that allow us to expect similar things to emerge. Therefore, these forms then are the source of the existence of all things. For if under similar circumstances similar effects can be expected, therefore these forms must be in place, and they are the source of the existence of all things. Now, in our relationship with Manny and Sarah, you see, this idea, dream, plan, is on the human level no different from that, for we can call this a form, pattern, and therefore, through his power, his first power, and now notice what we must say about this though. He must have the potential power to exhibit that act consistent with that form, and in a similar way, there must be on Sarah's part a receptivity. Right? A receptivity, an openness for that advance. She has to be open to it. She has to be open to such a thing, and therefore she has to have a certain potential openness to receive that and respond to it, or there would be no relationship. And would you not agree, she is assuming that the particular idea he has in mind might be very akin to hers. And then we went one step further and we said, suppose the best plan or form that they happen to have is that each wants each to be themselves as much as it is possible for them to be so. And therefore, the kind of plan he may have in his mind is the freedom to allow each of them to emerge to be themselves as much as it's possible. And therefore, it's not a model, a strict model that he's going to impose on her, though some people do in fact have such plans when they want to make the other person exactly